Everybody, a warm welcome to all achievers. You're watching Venus Educators. I'm your teacher Syeda Saleima Tahseen. Today we are going to look at a very important and high weightage topic from UGC Net English paper 2. So without further delay, we are going to looking at what is literary theory is. So it is very important to understand what the literary theory is. Literary theory is a systematic study of how we read and analyze, interpret literature. So basically, it is like a lens through which we interpret a text, analyzing the work from different angles. For example, if I am wearing the lens of feminist perspective, then I am gonna looking at the text from feminist perspective, right? If I am going to use the lens of formalism, I am going to looking at the text from that perspective. So literary theory is basically the lenses through which we are interpreting the text. So critical interpretations made by a critic depends upon the literary theory adopted by them. If I want to judge Virginia Woolf's text and I'm using a feminist critical theory, literary theory, then I'm going to see what good point she has mentioned about the women. Alright, so a critic gets more freedom than criticism, that he can judge the text the way they like. Different critics have different interpretations based on their perspective. So you also, whenever you are criticizing something, it will be based on your perspective obviously, but here in English literature we are going to looking at the text from the perspectives that is called theory, literary theory, and feminism, formalism, new criticism, psychoanalytical theory. These are the lenses that we put while we are giving a critique on a particular text. Alright, I hope you have cleared this concept in your mind that what is literary theory is. So what is the importance of literary theory? It uncovers hidden meanings. Theory reveals layers of significance beneath the surface text, enabling deeper analytical insight. So here you are going to search the meaning which is said but not openly. So it is something that meaning you are grasping from the words. For example, many Hindi songs are there, like you are my heart. So is it the person to whom you are loving is your heart? No, it doesn't mean that. How the heart is an essential part for the body, the person is as important as that for you, isn't it? So that is the uncover and hidden meaning in that. So literary theory reveals that layers of significance. Am I clear with this? So we'll move to the next one, that is explain literary impact. Literary theory provides frameworks for understanding why and how literature affects readers emotionally and intellectually. So here, just now I told you that if you take any song, it directly not giving the actual meaning of literary words over there. Literary meaning we are not grasping from it. We are taking the words or the meanings hidden in it, and that is how we connect with it. Some songs are, you will be loving that because it is somewhere connecting with your current mood. Okay, so the next thing is challenges traditional reading, moves beyond author-centered interpretations to embrace multiple analytical perspective. Here you are not going to be biased. See, I'm a woman. If I'm talking about feminine, it's like biased one. But when a male person is judging or giving critic on Virginia Woolf's text, then you are not able to say that he is biased. He is telling that from the perspective of feminism. Am I clear with this? Next we have promotes multiple perspectives. Consider text, reader, context, and society as interconnected elements in literary analysis. So these are the things which are interconnected, and based on that we build our perspectives. Alright, so theory transforms reading into critical understanding, empowering scholars to engage with literature as an active analytical process. So what is new criticism? So this is the first literary theory that I am going to discuss today. It is new criticism. What is new criticism? New criticism basically says that rather than concern about the writer's background and our own thought understanding the text. So today I am in very bad mood, and you gave me a piece of writing. I'm giving critic on it. So as I'm not in a good mood, that criticism shall not impact. If I am in a good mood, I am going to write something good about that poem. If I am not in a good mood, I am going to give some negative comments on that poem. It should not happen. So author biased free critic should be there according to new criticism. And you are not going to search, like I will give you a poem and you have not been said that it is written by Shakespeare or anybody else. If I say that this poem is written by Shakespeare, you will be thinking like Shakespeare has written this poem, definitely it would be great. So you'll be giving positive comment. You are not using your opinion there. You are just already going with the set notion in your mind, right? So that should not happen according to new criticism. It appears in 1929, so origin 1930s to 1950s. Before to it, people used to look on the historical background of the text. What is the historical background? Means who has written this? Is he famous author or not? This is how previously the criticism used to be given, but after new criticism has came into the screen, that concept has faded away. Okay, old technique of criticism is used to see or going back to the condition, style of writing at the time of written, in simple words, historical background of work and the writer. So what is the old technique of criticism? To see or going back to the condition, style of writing at the time of written. So basically in new criticism you are avoiding all those things. You are not going to see what who has written this, in what context it has been written, nothing. So it is text centered philosophy. Emphasize the text itself rather than external factors like authorial, biographical and reader. Okay, third one is reaction against traditional criticism. Challenge historical and biographical approaches that dominates literary studies. Okay, so here we are going to learn that how the reaction against traditional criticism is a challenge for new criticism. Okay, the next thing we have is organic unity concept. Treated literary works as self-contained, unified wholes where every element serves the overall meaning. This is what new criticism is. So you please understand that the group of writers who believe in or interested in the work, not the writer, is called new critics. So to whom we are going to call new critics? The person or the group of writers who believe in the text, who are interested in the text, not but in the writer, who has written the poem, when and which background he has used. That is not important. What is important here? here important is the text. The particular group of critics emerged in America. Group of critics are also called or from England. Next thing we can learn here is key concepts of new criticism. Let's see what is the major concern of this movement. So first one is close reading. Close reading means careful detailed analysis of language, form and literary devices within the text. So as we are not interested in the background of the writer and the name of the writer, we are going to looking at the analysis of language, how the language has been used, what literary devices has been used, how the imagery has used, what form of the language has been used. So all this critical and careful detailed analysis of language will be included in close reading. Okay, focus on each and every line, rhyme, figure of speech, words, etc. So next we have unity and organic whole. All textual elements work together and support one unified coherent meaning. Okay, so what it is, all elements, all textual elements in the sense figures of speech, form of words. Alright, then next important key concept of new criticism is paradox and ambiguity. Contradictions and multiple meaning enrich the text's interpretive depth. See, everything is not clear. Which is not clear is called ambiguous. If I say, let's eat grandpa, this question or this sentence might be bring a question in your mind that whether madam is asking to eat grandpa or she is inviting grandpa for dinner, right? So this is something called ambiguity. So paradox and ambiguity is a key concept of this movement. Next we have intentional fallacy and affective fallacy. So what is intentional fallacy and affective fallacy, we'll see here. The value of text is actually affective fallacy means a kind of supposed errors of judgment or evaluation on the basis of emotional effect. So readers' emotional responses don't determine the text objective meaning. Just now I told you that it should not affective, means it should not relate it to your emotions. I am in a good mood, so I am going to give the good review on that particular text. I am in a bad mood, so I am giving some negative comments. It should not happen. Effective it is a error. For fallacy means error. What kind of fallacy should not be there while you are critiquing on the text? That is affective fallacy. Now what is intentional fallacy? The author's stated intention is irrelevant to textual interpretation. So is a kind of mistake by drawing meaning in terms of author's intention by his biography and situation. For example, we all know APJ Abdul Kalam's biography. We have learned many times while writing PGT, TGT examinations also. We have learned about him, what kind of person he was and all. So if he writes something and you are going to see that this person comes from poor background, that's why he will be talking like any poor poverty. Okay, so this is something called as intentional fallacy, because you are focusing on the author's intention. It's not your job to focus on author's intention. You just need to focus on the text according to new criticism. It is an error of interpreting a literary work reference to according to author's introduction. You should not refer the author's intention there. We may draw wrong meaning of the word used by author if we focus on author's intention. Okay, many times it happens in the daily life also, actually I want to say something, but as I am in a bad mood, you are thinking that I'm using that word in a negative way, right? So that should not happen here. Maybe the author is writing in a positive manner, but you know that he was depressed at that time, so you are taking that meaning of that particular word in negative way, right? So if interpretation of a work is based on author's biography, it will be subjective interpretation, and subjective interpretations are not allowed in new criticism. Then last concept we have is heresy of paraphrase. Now what is heresy of paraphrase? The value of text is lost. If we read Paradise Lost summary, we are just knowing the plot but fails to feel the artistic pleasure, isn't it? Somebody is going to paraphrase. Paraphrase means, summarizing the text, confining the words over there. So what basically we are doing, we are not going to enjoy the full text. Okay, so somewhere the value is lost. He says that analyzed, always remember that what is interpreting is the word of his own, not the words of the poet. So if I am going to summarize Paradise Lost, I am going to tell those concepts or those feelings in my point of view, from my point of view, from my perspective. Where is yours? How you are going to understand that? So when you read it directly, it would be better, and it would be, give you some other interpretations. Got my point? So a text meaning resides in its form and structure, not in summary or restatement. That is all in simple words. A text meaning resides in it, not in the summary. So you have to read the original text, not the summary. Okay, so who are the major critics? The first generation of major critics can be John Crow Ransom, the new criticism term coined by him and established foundational principles for the movement. Then I.A. Richards, he is a very famous person who wrote the book called Practical Criticism. In this book, actually he has experimented on the students. What experiment he did? He gave a text to the students without revealing the author's name, and what he has gained the original interpretation of the text from a critic. That's all. But in the same thing what he did, he again gave the text and gave the name of the author along with it, so the interpretation was different. So he come to the conclusion that based on these two experiments, he came to the conclusion that if you are going to interpret the text with already set notion that this particular author is good and this particular author is bad, then you are not going to get the actual interpretation of the text. Then we have T.S. Eliot. His famous book name is Tradition and the Individual Talent. He emphasized impersonal poetry and objective literary evaluation. So when we go in the depth, we are going to learn about T.S. Eliot also, how he has given many concepts regarding this. Next we have Clinneth Booth. Clinneth Booth's The Well-Wrought Urn explore paradox and irony as central elements of poetic meaning. Next we have Alan Tate. He wrote the book Tension in Poetry, analyzed the dynamic relationship between opposing forces within literary works. Next, major critiques, second hand generation, means people who are associated with new criticism. So we have already learned here five persons name: John Crow Ransom, A.I. Richards, T.S. Eliot, Kenneth Brooks, Alan Tate. Next we have Wimsatt and Beardsley. Co-authored seminal essays on intention fallacy and affective fallacy, defining key new critical principles that distinguish objective textual analysis from subjective interpretation. We have just discussed that, right? William Emerson, he talked about the 7 types of ambiguity, which systematically categorized different forms of linguistic ambiguity as essential element of poetic complexity. Next we have R.P. Blackmore. He develops theories in language as gesture, exploring how literary language function as performative action rather than mere communication. So he also given some important concepts. So if you want to go all this concept in deep, then you need to enroll into my course. So you'll see, and I'm going to help you in through YouTube also. So please stay connected with us. So this is the summary that what we have learned today. What is the major focus of new criticism is the text itself is the major focus, not the poet, not the name of the poet, neither the intention of the poet, and not the background of the author, right? Next we have rejects author's biographical intention and readers' emotional responses as interpretive criteria. We are not going to accept all those things in a criticism like new criticism, that you are not supposed to mention or bring any influence of author's biographical intention and readers' emotional response. Next we have approach: objective, scientific and rigorously analytical method. So what approach we are using while doing criticism or passing a review on a text? You should be very objective. What do you mean by objective? When you are not giving any sort of your moods or author's biographical intentions, you are not inputting anything there, then this is called as objective. Scientific means it should be follow in a particular order and rigorous analytical methodology, right? Next we have goal. What is our goal? Achieving unity through analysis of structure, language and paradoxical elements. Here you are not supposed to go or do anything with the writer. Here you are just dealing with the forms, the language, the figures of speech use, the symbolism, the imagism. Okay, so this is we are going to majorly focus on it. So with this we have come to end of our video, but let's take a feedback from you. Please answer these questions in the comment box and do share, subscribe. So first question in front of us: according to new criticism, the meaning of a poem lies in A. Author's biographical context and intentions, B. Reader's emotional and personal responses, C. The text itself and its internal structure, D. Historical and cultural background. Next question we have: which of the following is not a core concept of new criticism? A. Close reading techniques, B. Affective policy principles, C. Intertextuality analysis, D. Unity of form and content. So thank you for learning with Venus Educators. I will be waiting for your answer in the comment box. So next topic would be the important figures of new criticism: William Emerson, I.A. Richards. So stay tuned with Venus Educators. See you then. Bye bye.